Welcome back to the farm, everyone. Gearing up for hopefully a big couple days of harvesting corn north of Mattoon. Kind of our final stretch. Let's hope nothing goes wrong and we get a lot done. Dad says the gear case hydraulic oil is low here again, so we're going to check for leaks. I assume they put new oil in it when they fix this reverser seal. That's the reverser right there. There's wet spots up there, but it's hard telling if that's from the original leak or if that's new. Once the hydraulic oil gets some dirt in it, it just kind of stays this sticky little mud material. Oh, another day, another dollar. Oil on the stick. These tight turns are really hard for the corn head to kind of snake its way through. You don't think about it when you're running the planter and you just whip around a corner with the planter in the ground, but it can be kind of hard to get it lined up with the corn head, although Dad just made it look easy. He's a pro. This pond may be one of the most majestic features I've ever seen on any farm that we've operated on. It's magnificent. A duck and goose hunter's paradise, really. That's got to be every bit of 5 acres. Nice bank around it, cattails growing. Be a good spot to build a home. Anyways, we've got about 70 acres on this first field left of Pioneer 10477 Chrome. It's 110-day Pioneer corn. Our only misstep was planting 110-day corn in early May and not getting to it till the end of harvest because it's averaging 12.5 to 13%. So we're losing quite a bit in moisture because the corn is too dry. There's nothing we can do about it other than find a time machine and either harvest it earlier or plant a longer season hybrid. Pioneer has a handful of hybrids that have these distinctive white cobs. Even the corn fuzz that comes off of it is kind of a whitish hue. There's a lot of different type of harvesting loss that goes on when corn is below 15%. You've got head shell because the kernels are so dry on the ear, they're just popping off as the combine rips the ears down across the deck plates. There's nothing you can do about that, really. You could slow the head down, but that's impossible because our combine needs the head running fast to keep the combine full. There are a lot of different trade-offs when it comes to harvest moisture. The wetter it is, the less head loss you get and the less grinding out the back as well, but you're gonna have to pay to dry it. If you have your own drying system, it's not as expensive as if you're taking it to commercial storage, but we're going to commercial storage. You would get absolutely hosed with dockage and drying fees, anything over 17 to 18%. It would be a losing proposition. Another complicated factor that you'll hear some farmers and agronomists talk about with harvest moisture is phantom yield loss. Phantom yield loss is the idea that as corn gets drier, you actually lose yield, but no one knows exactly where it's going. The University of Illinois up the road has done a study with hand harvesting corn. They discovered that as long as you pick the corn above 15%, there is no phantom yield loss. So whatever yield we're losing between 30% and 15% is because of the combine, whether it be from the head shell I showed you, or I almost wonder if when corn gets really dry, the rotors in the combine aren't actually pulverizing some of that super dry corn and turning it into dust and losing us money. My theory is that some of this dust that the cleaning fan is blowing out the back of the machine is actually ground up corn. It seems insignificant, however, it would add up really quick if you knew how much corn was going through this machine and how dry it is. Trucks are keeping up so far. We've got the third truck here today. Dad's probably gonna have to hop in that and Katie run the combine. Because this corn is 2 to 3 points of moisture over dry, with how shrink is calculated, we're actually losing probably 4% in moisture loss. And that 4% on theoretically 250 bushel corn is almost 10 bushel an acre we've lost because we didn't get to this corn quick enough. That's a lot of money. On the X9, Dad's in the third truck. We have to pick around a bunch of waterways on this first 90 acres. It will slow us down a little bit. Once we get this done and we move over into the 220 acre field that's got a lot of very long throughs, we'll really need that trucking capacity. These little waterways right here create a lot of inefficiency. There's a lot of point rows around here that slow the farmable productivity way down, as opposed to be able to go all the way through to the other end, which is probably 3/4 of a mile. We've got these little sections out here that we have to pick out because we can't really cross the waterway efficiently and pick through, so it's not the most optimal design here. To illustrate what I'm saying, it's nice when you can pick from here all the way down to here. With these waterways though, we can't do that. We almost have 3 little fields. We've got this front piece, because this isn't crossable, and we've got this little middle piece, because this isn't crossable, and we've got this piece here. If we could pick boom, 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 we'd probably be done with the field by now, other than this small thing on the back here that we'd also have to do. Waterways are good for erosion control. They just aren't quite as efficient for the equipment as a terrace system would be, because then all you'd have to go around would be an inlet. Combine's so full, even the garbage truck's concerned. Watch this auger just evaporate that grain tank. I did hear some bad news in the community. A farmer south of our main farm, about 15 miles, lost their 1 or 2 year old S790 to a fire and their corn head. So they are getting the rental X9 that we were running that was sitting on the lot at Sloan's and Mattoon. They're also a Sloan's and Mattoon customer. You hate to hear someone losing a machine like that. The good news is that there were no field fires with that, because that's another huge, huge concern. The combine catches on fire, there's a lot of rubber and a lot of diesel fuel that gets hot quick, and that could maybe light your field on fire. We gotta do this little back piece too. Oh, combine operators. What are you gonna do with them? Lenny joined us again this afternoon for a little farm learning session. What do you got, buddy?
I got that and I watched.
Oh, it's a tape measure.
Look, ta-da!
Crossing this bridge for the last time. The combine went around because it's a little narrow. It's probably better that way. I probably shouldn't even be crossing this with a loaded cart. You read that sign, Lenny? It says private property. No trespassing.
Private, yeah, but yeah, I can say that. I can say that.
Who do you know here?
I know you.
Fair enough. Harvesting those small pieces is just not a fast job. Both of the trucks are sitting here empty. The third truck's up at the elevator. Jeff actually...
I just threw the cigarette out.
Jeff just radioed that up by the elevator there was a ditch starting to catch on fire. Not because of us. He thinks, like you just heard on the radio, that someone threw their cigarette out and it's just so dry outside. A hot cigarette can turn into a big fire pretty quickly. He stopped and was able to get some water and put it out to hopefully prevent a major fire from starting. All it takes is one spark in the right wind direction and it's a big issue. Lenny really wanted to go put the fire out, but I told him we gotta stay with the grain cart.
Why? Why do we do that? I might have Dole water.
Water?
No, I did Dole water. I did Dole water. Dirty water.
Dirty water?
Yeah, because they put the fire out with that.
Oh, is dirty water the best for putting out fires?
Yeah. It's running out here also.
Well, the wind would make the fire even worse. That's why it's a big deal. We're having some kind of combine issue over there. I don't know what. So Lenny and I are just standing here waiting. You stand close to the tractor because it's warm. And it's actually kind of chilly outside with this little fall breeze.
I'm leaving one. Hey!
You've only been here for 30 minutes and you're filthy already. I was wrong, Lenny. We got to cross the bridge again to help him with the corn head. They said one wing is not folding. This corn head has given us a lot of issues folding this year. Lenny agrees. Says it's unfolded. We managed to get it unfolded. It should keep running, but something is obviously very wrong with the system. Either there's a sensor bad, even the calibration wasn't getting it to work that time. So need to fix it, but for now we'll keep picking if it'll run. Well, Lenny, there's that pile of corn you were asking for. Jeff checked the door on the trailer and he thought it was closed, then we started loading it, and I guess it wasn't closed. This is exactly why we have the emergency shovel on the cart.
And I'm midway.
A little rusty. Alright, watch out. I'll give you a black eye. You got like 80% of it.
My head looks like it's.
Semi-truck would be easier.
No, I could be either like that, like it's something. I have toes. Kids have toes. I have toes and it has lion wax in it.
You make a good team, Lenny. How many bushels do you think this is?
Yeah, 10.
10 of them?
Yeah, what?
I'm getting tired, buddy. This was the worst thing that could have happened for me, and arguably one of the most entertaining things that could have happened for you.
When it was water, I was coming! I'm walking. There's a water! I do have where'd it go?
We're gonna go get back in the grain cart.
Oh, the cheese dumping one me.
You wanna take some corn with you? I'd say we got half of it, Lenny. We gotta go catch the combine.
We're going to County.
I've been enjoying my time with Lenny for the last 4 hours. We've moved into the next field, the previous field. That was that Pioneer 11047 Chrome made right at 240 dry. It averaged like 12.5% on the combine, so we lost 4% in yield just from it being too dry. Nothing we can really do about that. We're into some long rows of Beck 6585 and 6469. Grain cart's having a hard time keeping up. Trucks aren't keeping up. It's just kind of a logistical bottleneck for us. We're chewing along. Dad said either the trees sucked the life out of or the deer ate 8 rows of corn here along the tree line. These big old tree lines are sure photogenic, but man, do they steal a lot of yield. Look, you didn't even spell a drop. Amazing. Yeah, it's a lovely time of night here during harvest. Visibility at a maximum. Air quality also high. What's to complain about? Where are you, combine? Oh, there's an unloading auger. That's my cue. We survived another day of harvest. I'll check in with you all tomorrow. Got a little frosty last night, and it's still chilly this morning. Mid-30s right now. Glad to have an extra layer on. It's not slowing down the asphalt plant. You can tell it's running today. A lot of steam coming out. Watch this leak. Well, the good news is that diesel exhaust fluid is not remotely corrosive. I should have looked at the weather forecast. It is chilly this morning. We got 95% of the corn cleaned up. The last little bit is kind of hard to get without really sifting through it because there's little rocks in here from the driveway, I assume, or there was something here, and you don't want to send rocks to the elevator. That's like a pretty bad thing to do. It's not very nice. There may be a bushel or two just spread on the ground, but that's just kind of the cost of doing business. Here's service from your fuel guy. Why do you need a Thunder Creek when if you got enough gallons of demand, they'll just bring the fuel trailer to the field? 3 semis, a tractor, and a combine fueled up, and Chris from FS has us topped off and ready to finish this field and maybe a few more fields. They treat us really good. They've got high quality fuel. We enjoy working with them. One thing I've noticed across different industries is a few good people can really provide some loyalty to your customers. FS has been providing us fuel for a long time. Chris has been great to us. His predecessor, Phil, was also a really nice guy, had good service. Unfortunately, he passed away from cancer, which was just a sad deal all around. It doesn't matter if it's your John Deere salesman, your seed salesman, your fuel guy. Some of these people you work with for so long, you build relationships. It really makes you appreciate them, appreciate their service, and you're definitely sad when they go. We're definitely pumping out the bushels here this morning. Katie's in the combine. We got 3 trucks moving. Things are rolling. We've been going at this field like a buzzsaw today. Maybe a Dole buzzsaw, but a buzzsaw nonetheless. The only thing that's really been slowing us down is that we're still having those same issues with the leaves and corn stalks fluffing up on the corn head and kind of hindering feeding into the machine. Other than that, the trucks are keeping up great. We're pretty much perfectly set up logistically. Every time I come to the end of the field full, there's usually another truck coming in to get loaded. You can tell where I ran the inline ripper out here. There are some rough spots. We're metaphorically getting down to the short rows of corn harvest. 125, 130 acres left maybe total. Well, that should conclude about a 45,000 bushel day of corn. Machine was on for 10 hours, so roughly averaging 4,500 bushel an hour. Yes, the machine picks more than that in a straight line, but there's inefficiencies amongst that, like turning and stopping to get lunch and doing all those things. Yeah, I know. Spare me the BS. Some of your grandmas could hand shell that much corn by noon if they're 100 years old. First liar never stands a chance. That's what they say. It's the first time I've tarped this in a long time. There's a chance of rain overnight, so we don't want any of the grain to get wet. I doubt it, but just prepare to bet. Did in fact rain a very tiny bit, but also not enough to matter. So we're gonna go ahead and finish this field. Efficient? No. Cheaper than a fuel trailer? Yes. Gigantic combine or a rally car? Is there much difference when Dad or Katie's driving? I don't think so. We wrapped up the remainder of this field first thing this morning. Again, going to be one of our best fields of the year. Mid to upper 250s, depending on the acres you use. I don't exactly know what the correct amount of acres for this farm is. Somewhere between 255 and 260 dry. Corn was all right around 15%, which is perfect to go to commercial storage. The majority of this field was split between Beck's 6469 and 6585, and the last 15 to 20 acres was 6374. The 6374 looked to be a handful of bushels better. I mean, we're talking 250 to 260, so not a lot, but it also adds up. The field average was almost entirely consistent across the field, except for when you changed hybrids. I mean, there was not much variability in here. This farm did have that OptiSurface land shaping done on it last year. I didn't really see any water damage, although I did see the benefits of reworking some of the erodible areas, widening out that water plane, and the washes were not there. It's only been 1 year, so in another couple years maybe they'll come back in. For now though, it really improved the smoothness of the farm, and that was definitely a plus. The negative is that we're still having problems with this darn C12F corn head. It's not wanting to fold. It's not even going all the way down.
No. That's what I was doing the other day though.
It's another piece of very reliable John Deere equipment. We unfolded it all the way to make sure it's seated. We're just going to drive it to the edge of the field. You're going to have a service tech look at it. And I guess we're going to go pick with the other combine. It is what it is. On to the next one. Taking the 8-row corn head down Route 16 is less than ideal. It's just kind of our only option because our folding corn head won't fold. Prefer to use the big machine with the big head. This is what we have to do though, because we got all this super new, reliable John Deere equipment. You can always rely on it to work. That's a lot of dust. It's just been really frustrating this fall. These small little issues like the corn head not folding that take 30 minutes to an hour off your day. That's 30 minutes to an hour the combine's not harvesting, and that adds up over a few days. Extends harvest, stresses people out, and adds repair bills pretty quickly. Just a little bit left to go here west of Mattoon. This corn's doing all right, I think, but I don't have any hard numbers. With the help of Sloan's, Dad was able to get that 12-row corn head folded up and brought to the main farm. The cylinder that pops the snout up in the fold process I guess was busted, or at least that's what Dad said. I don't know how accurate that is. It just didn't make any sense to have both combines here, so we're running with one. We'll have it done shortly. After this one's done, we will be down to about 50 acres. Train! CN locomotives and a BNSF. We are done around Mattoon, finally. Heading back home to regroup. Stop by home for a minute, get a game plan, and then head south to our last 2 fields. I got a little bit more extensive of a report on the corn head. They didn't fix the cylinder, they just made it so we could fold it manually. I don't know what that entails. I didn't see how Dad unfolded it here at the field. The last field we finished next to Mattoon was Beck 6374, made about 235, maybe 236. I think it was dry corn, although I never really looked what the combine was saying. That's phenomenal dirt in there, minus a few water problems on the farm. There's some drainage issues, and it's almost entirely surrounded by trees. If you could have a farm with that soil quality on a nice square 80 or 120, if you could take that hybrid, that soil, put it on a nice square 40, 80, 120 acre field, I guess you can just scale that to infinity. No trees around it. It's probably gonna make 260 to 270. The odd shape of the field and the trees really hammer the yield on that one, and then the few water issues add up because it's a small farm. Minor issues are much more major as fields get smaller. A 1 acre pond matters less on a 200 acre field than it does on a 30 acre field. It's just the relativity of it all. We moved down to what could be considered a completely different world. Light clay soils, not nearly as productive. This farm's entirely surrounded by trees, and we've got that DeKalb 6270 that's performed horrendously for us so far. That doesn't have to be a death sentence. We're 10 plus miles away from the other fields we had of it that this could yield really well if it caught some rains later in the season. We just finished up our second to last field with what's on the cart and what's already been accounted for at 16.3% moisture. I tabulated us at 22.3. That's a horrible way to say that. 223 dry bushels an acre, roughly speaking. It's the DeKalb 6270. It performed a lot better down here around Lake Mattoon than it did up closer to home. I couldn't tell you why, but 223 for this farm for this year is not too bad. The cylinder that's broken is what pushes this piece up. This has to come up so the wing will fold. I guess they didn't have the cylinder in stock, so this is how we have to fold and unfold the folding corner. Just as John Deere intended. Folds perfectly fine with the help of a ratchet strap. And that cylinder is right in there.
There's the cylinder.
Oh, it's just broken off, yeah. Does it go all the way through to that?
And locked it.
Katie just admitted that she heard something pop when she was folding it up the other day, so she's the one who broke it. As long as it wasn't me, it doesn't matter. Regardless of what happened, there's really nothing we could have done to break that. It shouldn't be broken. It broke because of poor quality or whatever. It doesn't move other than when it's folded. It has no activity when we're actually out in the field harvesting. It's in a locked position. This is the piece that was broken off at the end of that ram. Snapped her off. Probably not built strong enough. Cut corners where you can, that makes you more money. 17 acres to go. Short little move down the road to the last field, and then we can finally pop the champagne bottles. Couple acres left. As long as the wheels don't fall off, we will be done. We finished up. I'd say there was more than just the DeKalb 6270 out here. This was the last field we planted, so it could have gotten the clean out special where you take all your loose bags and throw them. This white cob is definitely a Pioneer hybrid. The red one could be Pioneer, but most likely that DeKalb 6270. Would you look at that? It's amazing the difference a few rains in June can make to a corn crop, even on less productive ground. 245 wet bushels an acre. I think it was about 16%, so let's say 241, 242 dry. That's really good corn for this farm ground. And it looked like garbage all year. Bad stand, water damage, a little bit of weed pressure because of the lack of corn stand and the water damage. Yet when the rains fall, 245 bushels is easily possible. If we did a little bit of surface drainage work out here, 245 will be on the low end. I think this ground down here has got some high potential. And it's not even that great a ground on paper. For no reason other than old habits. Topped off the fuel tank, topped off the def. The other day when the fuel truck was at the field, he had the gun set to 50 gallons per minute, and I guess the nozzle or the throat of the fuel tank cannot take that many GPMs. And I was the one who learned the hard way that you cannot run a 50 gallon per minute flow into this. It made a mess. Had to take my shirt off. There's diesel fuel remnants all over there. Not a big deal, just not pleasant either. Definitely better than smelling like body odor. We're gonna blow the combines off, pull them in for now. That's not gonna be their winter cleaning, just kind of a temporary fix. We usually don't fully disassemble until we know all of our friends and all of our family are done harvesting, just in case we have to help. Normally we don't, but you never know. We're shuffling the disc ripper around to get the inline ripper out. I don't know if that 9620 will fit between the DB60 and the wall or not. I guess we'll find out. Despite the evidence being conflicting on the cornfield where we ran this and had some trial data, we are still going to try to use it for now. It seems like it's better than nothing, and we want to try some on some of these farms that we kind of worked a little wet this spring, and this is about the best tool for the job. Depending on whether or not I'm the one operating, I may leave a check strip to see if there's any difference. Things away for a few weeks, and then I'm going to focus on some tillage while we wait for everyone else to finish up. Despite your best efforts to curse us, Black Cat, we finished harvest. Yeah, you provided some breakdowns along the way, but that keeps things interesting. With not a tremendous amount of rain in the forecast, the ground being super dry, we're actually going to treat ourselves to an afternoon off. Tomorrow we're going to be hitting it hard with tillage, have the vertical till and the inline ripper both going. With the forecast, there are a few rains there, but I think we'll be all right. We can cover a lot of ground quickly, especially with the vertical till. I appreciate you guys all tuning in for the harvesting adventures and misadventures. I hope to see you in the next episode, and have a great day. Peace!